So, tell me your name.
Brittany.
And what do you do?
I'm a photographer and I specialize in family and children.
And what is your business name?
It's called Urban Elephant Photography.
Now, what is the Urban Elephant? Why Urban Elephant?
So I wanted something a little bit more unique since I work with a lot of family and children. I wanted something that would be easy to remember, especially for kids. You know, as soon as you see it, like the Nike symbol, you know exactly what it is. So I wanted it to be more playful, and so that's where I came up with Urban Elephant.
Now, where are we at right now?
We're in Columbiana, Ohio.
And this is where your studio is located, I'm assuming?
Yes, it is.
Now, why did you pick Columbiana?
It's a small town. I like the little downtown vibe, and the community is a really, really nice community. Everybody kind of supports each other, and there's always a lot going on down here, so.
Now, are we at your studio right now?
Yes, this is it.
So this is your place?
Yep.
Now, are we able to walk inside and see what it's like?
Yeah, definitely. Come on in. So this is it.
Now you do photography, so what do you enjoy the most about what you do?
I really enjoy working with all the people that I get to work with, all the families and the couples, and I think the biggest thing for me, and I guess the coolest part about my job, is I get to see everybody's first. You know, I get to photograph their wedding, and then when they're pregnant, and you know, their newborn, and their newborn when they turn 1. So it's really cool to see like the progression of, you know, a couple, and then they build their family, and you know, I get to photograph all their kids. So it's really, really amazing to work with all the families that I've worked with over the past years.
Now, I'm sure this is a hard question, but what has been your favorite moment out of one of your photo shoots or a wedding you've done?
Oh boy. I would say what tops it for me is my first elopement that I did in Colorado. I like to travel, and I love to hike, and I love, you know, the mountains and just exploring new places. And for me, it was something that I'd never done before, and something I really, really enjoyed. Just being with the couple the whole day and being in this really amazing, beautiful space. That was definitely like the highlight of my career for sure.
And so you like to be outdoors.
Yes.
What do you like to do in your free time?
So I like to kayak and hike. I like to spend as much time outside as I possibly can. I would say that I'm a pretty active person. I'm a fitness instructor on the side too, so it keeps me pretty busy.
Yeah, so now I'm sure that helps to keep up with all the little kids on your shoots.
Yes, definitely.
Now, going on to kids you shoot, what do you enjoy the most about shooting little ones?
I would say like their innocence. You know, sometimes I just kind of let them take me on this magical adventure, and it takes me back to my childhood, and you know, remembering like pretending that the floor was made of lava, or you know, if you stepped on a crack, something would happen, or just a lot of different things with kids. It's just, you just can follow them and you can photograph them being themselves, and they don't really care being in front of the camera. So I think that that's what I enjoy most about photographing children.
Now tell me about this place that we're in right now.
Yeah, so this is my studio. So I do a lot of newborn sessions in here, which is what a lot of those baskets and blankets are. I do smash cake sessions, which is like first birthday. That's one of my favorite sessions to do, to watch a 1-year-old, this little human being, you know, dive into a cake or spaghetti or ice cream, whatever it is. It's just really fun and rewarding, not only for me, but for the parents. So I do a lot of that. I do some mini sessions in here. I've done a lot of Easter minis in here in the past, Valentine's Day minis, because those are more in the colder seasons. And then, you know, I do some of my editing here. I like to change it up a lot. I like to go to some of the local coffee shops or libraries to work, but sometimes I tend to work here as well when I'm editing. So.
Now I see some of your photos on the wall. So what do you consider your style to be?
I would say very colorful and fun and bold. I think that goes a lot with, you know, my name itself too. I just want my colors to really pop, and I want all of my clients and the people that I work with to really enjoy the experience, because I don't think it's just about taking the photos. I think it's about having fun in the process as well.
So now, do you feel that kind of reflects in your own personal style?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, so what do you consider? You consider yourself very artsy?
Yeah,
Like
so
your antiques. That's...
yeah, so I go around, especially Columbiana, but all the surrounding areas as well, and I go antique shopping quite a bit. I like to find little knickknacks that I think would be good for props. I found that when I photograph a lot of kids, they always want to touch my camera. So I bought this vintage camera that I use, and I let the kids, I got it for like $5, but when the kids want to play with my camera, I give them this vintage camera and it looks really amazing in photos and they can play around with it and it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. And honestly, looks really cool in some of the photos, so, but yeah.
So you do weddings and elopements. So do you have any advice for couples, especially right now?
Yeah, so I would say, you know, it's important to plan ahead, especially with the quarantine, just having a backup date, since right now really none of us know what's going to happen a week from now, a couple months from now. So I think it's important to first and foremost make sure with your venue that there's a backup date that works, and then contact all your vendors, make sure that one of those backup dates work for them as well. But yeah, I would say, you know, stay strong. We'll get through this together. The most important thing is that you have each other, and just hold on to that, because it doesn't matter when you get married. You know, you're still gonna have each other. You're still gonna get there. So I would say just stay hopeful and make sure to continue to, you know, plan for the future.
So now what are you looking forward to most this wedding season?
Honestly, since quarantine, I'm just really looking forward to working with everybody. I love all of my couples. I have a lot of couples this year that I'm really looking forward to working with. As I've done their engagement photos, and now we're going back into their wedding day. So I'm just really excited to capture their special day and, you know, move forward with them and hopefully continue to photograph their family as they grow.
So now, as the camera person myself, what kind of camera do you use?
So I have a Canon. I have two Canons. I really love them. They're in the back. Let me go grab them. All right, so I recently just got this one. It's a full frame, it's a mirrorless, so it's a little bit more lightweight than what I used to use. I love it. I have my 35 on there, and that's what I use the most, and then sometimes my 50, which is really great. So yeah, it's my favorite. So
now, what do you like to edit in?
Program wise?
Yes.
So I use Adobe Bridge. That's what when I went to college, that's kind of what I was taught on, but I've dabbled a little bit in Lightroom. And then I'll do kind of like my basic editing, put my preset on there that I created, and then go into Photoshop and do any final touches. Like sometimes I need to do skin retouches, or even with families, sometimes I have to really do some Photoshop work, and maybe if one of the kids, if their eyes were closed in one picture, but in the other one it wasn't, and they really liked that one picture, sometimes I'll Photoshop eyes into another picture, which is, you know, kind of crazy and really magical that we're able to do that. But yeah, those are the programs that I use.
Okay, so you mentioned you learned this at school, so what'd you do?
What did I go to school for?
Yes.
So I went to school for photography, and then I minored in marketing and art history. I also played soccer there for 5 years, and I had a red shirt. So with that extra year, I had a little bit leftover time, so I decided to minor in art history and marketing at that point, because I was able to kind of fill in the gaps for that extra year when I played soccer. So yeah.
Okay. Now, how about, tell me a fun fact that your average couple wouldn't know about you.
They wouldn't know about me.
Yes.
Well, besides playing soccer at Youngstown State, well, I grew up on a farm. I would say somewhat of a farm. Our thing was we specialized in raising pigs, so that was something that like my dad and I really enjoyed doing growing up. We had about 10 or 12 acres of land, and as a child I feel like I never wore shoes. I was just wild and would always run outside and play outside. And yeah, so my grandpa had chickens, and we had pigs, and we had a few horses and some bunnies, cats, a dog, so we had the whole shebang.
All right. Now, if you weren't a photographer, what would you be?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think I would be an interior designer. I really enjoy doing that. I think I'm really good at it too. I watch a lot of HGTV and I really love it. I think I would have enjoyed like flipping homes as well. So like doing the whole, flipping a home and then creating the interior portion of it for the client. I think that's something that I probably would have invested my time in, or an event planner, something that's still creative, because I think my brain was built to be a creative one, so yeah.
Okay. So are you a coffee or tea person?
Coffee, definitely.
Well, Starbucks or Dunkin'?
Starbucks. I was Dunkin' for a long time, but I think I had too much of it. But now this quarantine has made me make my own coffee at home every day, so I'm proud of that.
So do you spend much time in here?
I try to. Like I said, I like to explore other coffee shops and edit there, or libraries. I go to the Pullman Library, which has pressed. I go to Stone Fruit a lot, Branch Street Coffee. I really try to support the local small businesses because I think that that's really important. And that's another reason why I value this community that I'm in, because of that reason.
Now, what's your favorite part about this building?
I love the history of it. So it's actually one of the oldest buildings here in Columbiana. I love that it's small. I love the big windows, the flower boxes out front, which are empty right now. I haven't gotten to that, but plan on it. There's a lot of things I really love about it, and the exterior portion, it's white, which allows me to utilize that as well. And I have a little bit of property here in Columbiana. Very small, but works perfectly, so.
So now, where do you picture yourself in 5 years from now?
Well, I would like to eventually expand and find a bigger studio. I'm kind of starting to outgrow the space. And I would like to have maybe like a small warehouse or garage, because I also have a lot of props and vintage couches, and I would like to expand that portion. I started doing photo backdrops and selfie stations and renting out some of those bigger props that I have that are in a garage in the back. But I would really like to be able to have like a warehouse space where I can, lay it all out and show couples like, this is what you could rent, this is what it could look like. And then I'm also starting another part of my business. I have a photo booth camper that I'm remodeling. It's kind of on a stopping point right now, but it's this beautiful vintage camper, and remodeling it to be a photo booth for, weddings and events and all those good things.
So now, what has been the funniest thing that has happened to you on a photo shoot?
Funniest thing, that's tough. So I would say working with kids, there's always usually something really funny that they do. I'm trying to think of something like particular. You know what? I did a newborn session once, and we were trying to do one of the little cute naked poses, and I was rocking the baby to sleep and really trying to get him to settle down a little bit, and he just pooped all over me. And it was an in-home session too, so the mom had to let me borrow some of her clothes because it was literally all over me, and in order for me to continue the session I had to change my clothes. So yeah, I think that was probably one of the funnier moments. I think working with newborns, sometimes that tends to happen, so that was very funny.
So now, what inspires you to do what you do?
I think honestly, it's the people. When I work with families and I see them really enjoying themselves and, just laughing and having fun, and the same thing with the kids or couples, if they leave and they say, wow, this was not what I expected it to be, this was so much more fun, then for me, that's really what inspires me and keeps me motivated, because I'm a very extroverted person and I recharge my batteries off of hanging around different people, and I love making people laugh and have fun. I think that that's like a really important thing to me. So if I do that, then that really inspires me to keep going.
Okay, now what would you tell another photographer that is trying to start up and do something similar to what you do?
I would say shoot a lot, take photographs of, as many things as you want. It's really important for me feel like as I've learned over the past years is just to really push my boundaries and do things that are outside of the box and, constantly, trying to think of the word that I want to use. I would say just constantly explore what inspires you. For me, it was, having model calls and doing things that I always wanted to that weren't necessarily the norm. And so I think that starting up your business, don't be afraid to just overshoot. Go photograph as many things as you want, contact as many people, try to get just as much experience as possible and be really comfortable with your camera.
Now, what mediums do you use to showcase your business?
As far as social media, so I use Instagram, which is the number one I feel for photography, because it's strictly photos. So I use Instagram, I use Facebook, and then I have my website, and then I have my Pixie Set, which is a gallery site that I use to send to clients, and it's also somewhere where people can go and review and see different galleries and how things work and what to expect or what locations I have, so things like that.
Now, what are some of your platforms like? So your website, what's your website?
So my website is, so it's urbanelephantphotography.com. Pretty easy, nothing too crazy. I obviously wanted to keep everything kind of all collective and work well together, so.
Now what's your Instagram?
Also Urban Elephant Photography.
And your Facebook's the same then?
Yep.
Awesome.
Nobody else has that name, so works. Yes.
So now we're kind of close to being done with this interview. Is there anything, last words you'd like to say or advice to couples or families or suggestions on things they should do? In the photography realm.
In the photography realm, I would say, for couples that are planning their wedding and they're booking a photographer or videographer, I think that for me, it's really important for them to do an engagement session. Well, not only meet with them prior to booking with them, but doing an engagement session so you can work with your photographer and really get to know them and know what the experience is going to be like. It's not only good for the couple, but it's good for the photographer as well, leading into their big day. And you could feel more comfortable knowing what it's going to be like. So I think that's important for couples, and then for family and children and newborns, and I would say that whole collective group. I would say that if you have a style or if you don't have a style, just make sure you communicate everything with me so everything can kind of go smooth, and always know that. Especially working with me, that I'm always extremely flexible when it comes to family and children, because I know life happens, especially with kids and babies. You're kind of on their schedule. So, just making sure that you don't worry about if something goes wrong or if the weather's bad. Just making sure that, you always have a backup date, or don't ever be in fear that you won't be able to get your session done. And I know a lot of other photographers are the same way. They're pretty flexible with families. A lot of the ones that I know and I've worked alongside have been extremely flexible with families for the same exact reason. So yeah, I would say communicate. If you need help with location ideas, with outfit ideas, we're typically professionals on that. We've done it enough times that we can definitely give you some advice on those topics.
Awesome. I'd say let's head back outside and
Okay.
look at your space.
Okay. We're at my studio in Columbiana, Ohio.
So what are your hours? Are you open during the week?
Yeah, so my hours pretty much vary. So I try to, I don't really allow walk-ins, but pretty much everything is kind of scheduled. I can schedule you anytime during the week or the weekends, but yeah.
Awesome. Yes, I'll come by.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Brittany, for being part of this interview today.
Thanks for having me.